Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome back to the recap and breakdown. Today we're taking a look at UFC Fight Night, Robert Whittaker versus Reinier De Ridder in Abu Dhabi, which just wrapped up literally 30 seconds ago on July the 26th, 2025. It did start 6 hours ago at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are finished on schedule. We had some really good finishes. We had some pretty solid bouts. I'm not going to lie. The main card was fantastic. The prelims offered a lot of insight to some upcoming prospects, and I'm excited to break it down. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the early prelim opener, which was Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. And I had Martin Buday by decision going into this. The reason being, Marcus Buchecha had not fought this level of competition before, and I was really worried with the fact that Marcus Buchecha only having, jiu-jitsu credits, having won 80cc Worlds, if I'm not mistaken. He had a couple of Worlds championships as a grappler, and Martin Buday is just so big. He is 266. He cuts down to 265 to make this fight. He probably fights at 286 or something like that. So there was probably a close to 30 to 40 pound weight advantage on the side of Martin Buday. Martin Buday actually out-grappled Marcus Buchecha in multiple situations. He was able to hold him against the cage like a lot of people felt like was going to happen. And when Martin Buday got at range, he was still throwing with decent power, and he had Marcus Buchecha, who had absolutely no gas tank, completely gassed in the second round, and Marcus Buchecha looked absolutely shit. The only way that I saw Marcus Buchecha winning this fight was by submission, and when he didn't get it early in the first round, I was extremely worried for him, especially because he used a lot of strength to try and rip Martin Buday down to the ground. He did it a couple of times, and when you're ripping a guy that heavy down to the ground, you're getting gassed quite quick, and you could see it happen quite early. I'm really happy to say that Martin Buday was able to win by unanimous decision. He has had a couple of rough bouts. He hasn't had a lot of good opposition against him. Marcus Buchecha clearly is not the greatest of opposition, but it was another good look at a heavyweight who only grapples, and he finally got to see another side of another heavyweight. He's kind of getting brought up slowly like a boxer does, where he's getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a guy who strikes, a guy who's good at everything, a guy who's good purely at grappling, and Martin Buday literally out-grappled the grappler who's won 80cc Worlds. Congratulations to Martin Buday, fantastic win, and we're going to move on next on the prelim. Stephen Nguyen versus Muhammad Yahya. Now, this fight should have been stopped in the first round. There was 5 knockdowns, I believe 6. I think they counted one as a slip, but there was 5 knockdowns in the first round of this fight, and all of them were Stephen Nguyen knocking down Yahya. And Yahya looked like shit. He did not look okay. He looked like he was really concerned with every strike that was hitting him. He didn't look like he was fighting back whenever he got knocked down. He did get up quite quickly, so I will give him that. But when you're seeing a guy get knocked down like that multiple times, his face is just slowly welting up. Stephen Nguyen's just slowly moving forward, just continuously knocking him down. And then you go into the second round. Realistically, his corner should have thrown in that towel. He rocked Stephen Nguyen once inside the second round, and I think it was more of a stumble whenever Stephen got hit with the jab. He wasn't expecting it from Yahya, and Yahya was still throwing quite well. He was trying to mix it up. He was trying to do whatever he could to try and win. I know Muhammad Yahya is not UFC potential. He's just not. He doesn't have the capabilities to try and beat the best of the best. If he really wants to, he could go back to the UAE Warriors and just win. He could literally just be champ there and just win consistently. He doesn't have to go to the UFC, and he's never going to make it here. One or PFL is probably his best bet at this point. And now you got Stephen Nguyen with finally a win inside of the UFC after having a failed bout with Jarno Aarons, having to be thrown into the Contender Series 3 times, losing one of them. He finally gets the knockout victory he's looking for. It was by TKO because the doctor had to stop the fight instead of, Yahya going down or his corner throwing in the towel, which is absolutely pathetic. Jason Herzog should have stopped this fight 100% way earlier, but still a good win for Stephen Nguyen. Bad look on the judges, and that moves us on to next on the prelims. This is one bout that I was really nervous about, and I had a feeling that I wasn't going to win on it, and I don't even know if I put him on the locks of the week. I don't think I did, but it really hurt me to fucking see it. Ibo Aslan versus Billy Elikana, and Ibo Aslan lost. It wasn't even close. It was 30-27 in my opinion. I thought he lost the first 2 rounds. Going into the third round, Ibo Aslan and Billy Elikana were even on the betting line, and that gave me a lot of confusion because I saw Billy Elikana, who was just landing the more strikes. He wasn't getting hurt at all. The leg kicks were nice. He was landing good jabs. He was snapping the head back of Ibo Aslan. He was making him bleed. He had a cut on the right eye of Ibo Aslan, and there just wasn't any pressure from Ibo Aslan. You didn't see any of the Ibo Aslan that got brought into the UFC. You didn't see any of the of the want for a finish. You didn't see any of the want for a win. You just saw a guy who was comfortable with having a slow kickboxing match with a guy and thinking that he won on points. It was kind of pathetic, to be 100% honest. Like Ibo Aslan, 100% of your wins are by knockout. That means you are not a point fighter. You need to go. You need to put output out there. You're fucking Mark Hunt at this point, dude. Let's go. Let's get a knockout out there. You're 205 pounds. Both of these guys didn't even make 205. It was 204, which is wild. I don't know why you're giving up pounds and you're not adding more mass to your body. Sure, it is what it is, whatever. Or you guys want to be, a little bit more agile. I guess you're not cutting that much weight if you're making 204, but still. Billy Alicana mopped him up in the decision, man. Outstruck him in all 3 rounds. Had the striking numbers in all 3 rounds. Had, no takedowns whatsoever. Was just able. Maybe there was a takedown in round 2. I don't think there was, though. I think it was a pure kickboxing war. We just had a lot of good strikes from Billy Alicana in rounds 2 and 3 that kind of ran away with the fight. And Ibo Aslan looking confused at the end of the fight. You're absolutely lost. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're complaining about. But you didn't throw enough. You didn't even go aggressive enough. And you let Billy Alicana, who's the UFC newcomer, and about to be a new father. His wife is pregnant, so that's a huge win for him. Looking for a bonus. Did not get it, I don't think, but it is what it is. We're going to move on. Next in the prelims, Tabitha Ricci versus Amanda Ribas, and this was an absolutely insane fight. Amanda Ribas won the first round, was outstriking Tabitha Ricci. Tabitha Ricci found some success in the clinch work against Amanda Ribas, but Amanda Ribas at late in round 1 was able to take her down with a hip throw. Had Tabitha Ricci, I think, questioning some of her antics, was questioning the game plan of her corner, and the corner said the game plan's working. Keep going. Keep going. Use the elbows in the clinch. Use the up elbows. Okay. Tabitha Ricci listened to her corner. Didn't shy away. Even though it looked like she was already defeated in the first. I'm not gonna lie. She went back to the corner, rolled her eyes twice, and was kind of listening at the start. And then her corner was like, "Listen, come on." And then, all right, she's listening. She did exactly what her corner told her to do, and she ended up with a knockout in the second round because of it. We go to over 1.5 rounds, which the under 2.5, I think, was plus 450 or something like that. And you had Tabitha Ricci in the clinch with Amanda Ribas landing really, really good elbows on the face of Amanda Ribas. And then she ends up landing an elbow that literally looks like it pokes her right in the eye, which it does. An elbow gets perfectly right in the eye socket, and Amanda Ribas just absolutely melts. She just doesn't. She looks like she's standing up fine for a second, and then she literally just crumbles. She just falls to the ground, covers her face up, and it's over. And Tabitha Ricci gets a stoppage TKO with Jason Herzog. Was it Jason Herzog? No, Daniel Movahedi. Never mind. Daniel Movahedi actually has a brain and stops the fight when it's over. But Tabitha, Baby Shark Ricci wins again. I told you guys in the predictions breakdowns, I fucking hate this lady. This lady fucks me over every time I bet against her, and every time I bet her, she loses. And in her last 4 fights, she looked like she lost all of them. She lost against Tisha Pennington, I thought. Angela Hill lost 100%. There's no way she won that fight. They gave her 29-28. Angela Hill gets robbed in all these fights all the time. The most impressive win that I've seen from her was in 2023, early in the year, against Jillian Robertson. And Amanda Ribas is a good stand-up artist. She's much taller, and she wasn't able to get the victory I thought she was going to be able to get over Tabitha Ricci. It's really unfortunate that she gets knocked out. It's a huge question mark in the career of Amanda Ribas now. There's a lot of questions going into this. 3 losses in a row, 2 of them by finish. In the last 4 losses, she has, 3 by knockout, or 2 by knockout, 1 by armbar. I'd be very concerned if it's Amanda Ribas going into her career now. We're seeing a very, very steady decline downwards, and I'm not sure if she's going to be able to bounce back from it. Fantastic win for Tabitha Ricci. You fucked my parlay. Thanks. Next in the prelims, Davey Grant versus Damon Blackshear, and this was another one I was worried about. Even though I said I was thinking about Davey Grant the whole week and I switched to Damon Blackshear, I was still confident in my pick. Damon Blackshear in the first round showcased why I picked that pick in the first place, and that's because he had the back. He was controlling Davey Grant really well, and that gave me a lot of confidence that he was going to get that submission in the first round. He unfortunately did not get it. Davey Grant, the 2 times he had been submitted inside of the UFC that I remember, which was Damian Stysek and Manny Bermudez. I don't think there was another one. I'm not lost. But Manny got him in a triangle choke awfully quickly, awfully early, and Damian Stysek was threatening the whole fight and eventually got an armbar. Damon Blackshear got that takedown so easily early that I was I say so easily. Davey stuffed the first one, I'm pretty sure, but eventually got taken down. I was so confident that Damon Blackshear was going to be able to submit this guy. I wasn't even worried anymore. I literally stopped stressing about the fight. And then as the fight went on, you see Davy Grant start ripping to the body, and you immediately see Damon Blackshear start biting on every feint and start blocking low and start walking slow. And that means he's getting clipped to the liver, he's getting clipped on the rib cage, he can't breathe properly anymore, it's probably starting to hurt. And you have Davy Grant, who's 39 years of age, doesn't give a fuck anymore. He's just going to walk forward because this is like waiting on the end of his career. He needs to get these wins in order to make a trek towards the title. Maybe he wants the title at 135. Maybe he wants to try and get into that top 15. Maybe he's trying to make more money. He's trying to get a draw. He is a draw. This guy's nasty as fuck. Forces forward, wins the second round against Damon Blackshear, outstrikes him, and goes into the third round. Absolutely nothing Damon Blackshear can do. Multiple takedown attempts are stuffed, and Damon Blackshear is just left questioning what he's doing with his fucking life, fighting a 40-year-old man, and he can't beat him. Give me everyone from now on to beat Damon Blackshear by whatever means necessary. Damon Blackshear showed a pathetic performance against Davy Grant here. He just only a jiu-jitsu fighter. This guy does not have stand-up whatsoever. He did not start anything. He basically just let Davy Grant force every issue, and that's a fucking problem for me. That's a huge red flag. I will most likely never be betting a fight of Damon Blackshear's again unless he picks it up, because losing to Davy Grant, a guy who he's really good in the stand-up, and you're choosing to stand up with him in the later stages of the fight because you're a little bit tired. Start the clinch, work towards judo throws, maybe some hip throws, maybe try and trip the leg. I don't know why we're standing out in range. I'm a backseat quarterback, I know, but still, what the fuck. Next, on the prelims, Muslim Salikov versus Carlos Leal, and this one ended quicker than I could blink, and then quicker than I could say Muslim Salikov. Honestly, fucking Carlos Leal runs out there, immediately starts putting pressure on Muslim Salikov. Salikov gets clipped with a straight left. And I'm like, oh shit, Carlos Leal might put him out early. And then Muslim Salikov just backs up when Carlos Leal's walking forward and just absolutely slumps the shit out of him with an overhand right. And Carlos Leal's down. He's not out cold, but he definitely wasn't feeling good. He needed to be helped up, set onto his fucking chair. That's a ridiculous win for Muslim Salikov. The guy's 41 years of age. Still striking like he's, 24 in the first round, and knocks out Carlos Leal, who looked like he's an absolute steroided mess coming into this fight. He looked absolutely insane against Reinier Fakhretdinov, absolutely murked the shit out of Alex Morono, and came into this fight a little bit too aggressive. I think he came in thinking that he was going to just knock out the 40-year-old. It's going to be too slow for him. He's just going to walk in, waltz through, and end it quickly and get a night out and get a fight of the night bonus. Yeah, guess what? Muslim Salikov probably just got a fight of the night bonus for that. How the tables flip. Plus 375 underdog smashes. He was a plus 450 when the lines did close because everyone was betting Carlos Leal last second due to the fact that everyone probably lost with Davy Grant and Tabitha Ritchie and Billy Alicante. A lot of people had Ebo Aslan there. Fantastic win from Muslim Salikov. What a way to start off another win streak, dude. Or I say start off. You're on a 3-win streak, 2 by finish. You're 41 years of age. 41's the new 20, guys. I'm not going to lie. The UFC is clearly getting more attributed to older fighters because this guy's at 170. He still looks good. What a win for Muslim Salikov. Knocks down Carlos Leal and takes out the prospect who was looking quite good in his 2 fights inside the UFC. Gets put out in his 3rd one. Next, the top of the prelims, Bryce Mitchell taking on Said Nurmagomedov. And Said Nurmagomedov had no answer for the grappling of Bryce Mitchell. He got a good guillotine in the 3rd round, but it wasn't enough to put Bryce Mitchell out. I actually thought he was out. I thought Bryce Mitchell was going to tap. He eventually cleared the arms and was able to stick his head through. But in the 1st round, Said Nurmagomedov was having a bit of trouble. Ended up dropping Bryce Mitchell with a really good knee. Ended up on top. Ended up with really, really good ground and pound. And that left Bryce Mitchell in a good position to try and bounce back because Said kind of blew his load a little bit, got a little bit too excited, and you could see it in the corner. He was breathing quite heavy. Even though Bryce Mitchell was there, he was listening to his corner. He wasn't out of it. He just got tagged a little bit and got dropped and put it on his ass. Said Nurmagomedov and his corner was, keep pressuring him. He's fucked. He's gassed. And Bryce wasn't gassed. He just wasn't gassed. Bryce Mitchell kept moving forward, was moving well, was striking quite well, was initializing the clinches quite well, was tripping quite well, using suplexes and any body lock he could to try and put Said Nurmagomedov to the ground and try and work him. He's just trying to just hurt him. He's trying to just overwhelm him with everything he could. and he did that in rounds 2 and 3. I think it was pretty comfortable for Bryce Mitchell. Thug Nasty was able to bounce back from a loss over Jean Silva and was able to get a really, really good win late in the fight. Because he did lose the first round. It was pretty clear he lost the first round. Second round, very good comeback. Third round, amazing round. Ended up with Said Nurmagomedov almost choking him out, but ended up strong in that third round. Very clear win for Bryce Mitchell and very, very solid. I think he's still ranked, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if he is or not. I don't remember. I don't remember the rankings, but if he is, that's a good win. I'm not going to lie. Said Nurmagomedov's a huge win. You have one of the Nurmagomedovs now, who's a really good striker, really good kickboxer. He was getting chewed up in that leg, but it didn't matter. He kept pushing forward, and he got the win he was looking for. Good win for Bryce Mitchell. And now we can move on to the main card of the evening. We had Bogdan Guskov versus Nikita Krylov to start it off. Usually when you have a fight right on the main card to start it off, it will be a finisher. And you had Bogdan Guskov just figure out Nikita Krylov early. It looked like Guskov was going to be very timid in this fight. It looked like he was going to take his time. It looked like he was looking more for a point fight than he was to get aggressive against Krylov, and I was a little bit worried. And then you see Nikita Krylov kind of jump the gun a little bit too early, and Bogdan Guskov immediately countered and was countering him quite well in the first round and absolutely rocked the shit out of Nikita Krylov. Ended up with him on the ground and ended up with really good hammer fists. Bogdan Guskov ends up winning via TKO. They stopped the fight. Was it Jason Herzog in this one? No, Mark Goddard again. Another ref that can actually stop a fight. Can you believe? Can you believe it's not Jason Herzog? He's not just letting the fight go until someone dies. He's actually ending the fight. It's amazing. Bogdan Guskov looked solid in this fight. He looked completely composed. I don't know why he was an underdog going into this. Nikita Krylov has 30 or 40 fights in his career, yes, but 13 of them come in the fucking first year of his career in 2012. I don't know what smoker fights he was fucking fighting, but I'm not giving him those wins. That's some bullshit wins, and they're all finishes. Eat my shit. How about you show me on paper they were all finishes? I don't fucking believe you. I don't believe that for a second. Gladiators, Ukraine and shit? No, thank you. No, sir. He got put in the UFC way, way early, and he'd been fighting bums this whole time. The best win on his career was Volkan Oezdemir. The best win. Alexander Gustafsson was on his way out when he won that fight. And that's his best win, is Volkan Oezdemir in his entire career. Bogdan Guskov wins by KO. Plus 260 prop pays out. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Next on the main card, Azu Almabayev versus Jose Ochoa. I was a little bit worried about this fight going into it. Jose Ochoa showed a lot of grit against Cody Durden, showed that he has some extreme power, that he's always ready for a brawl, that he's always ready for a scrap, and he doesn't give a shit who he's fighting. He's ready to throw down, and he's ready to use all of his energy out in the octagon. He doesn't leave anything out there. He always tries to get up. He always tries to move, and that was a big problem for me going into this because Azu Almabayev is a really, really strong grappler, but when he's standing up on the feet, he gets tagged very, very often. He's kind of just a chain wrestler, and he tries to force the issue consistently to try and just get away from the fact that these guys have big power. He was able to utilize that in this fight against Jose Ochoa. I think that has to do with the fact that Jose Ochoa has a lack in MMA experience. He only has 10 fights in his career as of now, and Azu Almabayev, that was his 25th fight in his career. That is just a huge increase. That's 150% more fights than what Jose Ochoa has. That's a huge gap in just experience in general. And if he would have had a little bit more time, if maybe Jose Ochoa was 27, 28, a little bit later in his career with some good takedown defense that he's built into, I think he would have been able to win this fight and knock out Azu Almabayev late in the fight. Unfortunately, it was not the case with this fight. Azu Almabayev consistently chain wrestling the shit as a Jose Ochoa. Jose Ochoa felt like he might have won the fight, but I think it was pretty clear. 30-27, Azu Almabayev wins, and it's not even close. Jose Ochoa had a chance. He almost hurt him a couple times. He cracked him a couple good times going down, but every single time he was able to hurt him with something, Azu Almabayev completed the takedown and was able to just end up on top. Jose Ochoa had to keep working to get to his feet. It wasn't happening. It was unfortunate, but Jose Ochoa ends up losing. Azu Almabayev moves on 22-3 down the flyweight division. These guys literally never run out of gas. It's actually ridiculous. Those are some of the most fun fights I've ever watched in my life. Just to pay attention to the 125 division right now, guys. It's pretty insane. Is it strawweight? Or flyweight, excuse me. Flyweight's getting fucking insane right now. It is. It's got a lot of good prospects in it. A lot of crazy hitters. Next on the main card, Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barriault. This fight was close in my opinion. You could have scored the second round, I think, either way, but Mark was really hurt at the end of the round, so I probably would have given it to Shara. So that would be 30-27 for Shara Bullet Magomedov. But Marc-Andre Barriault in the second round against... granted, first let's talk about the first round. it was pretty obvious that Mark was not going to win this fight. It was pretty obvious that it was going to be a very, very tough time to outstrike the guy who's a really good kickboxer as a guy as Marc-Andre Barriault, who barely kicks and just kind of moves forward. Chara was chewing up his leg really early, had Mark already stumbling. He was already cut on the top of his head from a lead elbow. Good, nice. Lead into the second round, Chara cracked Mark with a couple good shots, and then when he leans over and walks right into an overhand right, and it absolutely snapped the nose of Chara Bullet Magomedov in half. His nose was completely crooked. Looked like Nicholas Dalby against Randy Brown. And Marc-Andre Barriault was starting to put on some heavy pressure. Massive blood clots coming out of the nose of Chara Bullet Magomedov. Massive nosebleed. Could barely breathe. Mouth wide open. Could barely see. The side of the eye was bloodied. The head of Marc-Andre Barriault covered in blood. Just shoving it in his head, in his face and shit. Chara was having a tough time. Ends up cracking him in that second round. Has Mark against the cage at the last 10 seconds, has him almost put out, but ends up back into a third round, and it's pretty clear Chara Bullet wins that round, has Mark hurt, has Mark not even really responding anymore. He's outstriking him 30-5 or something with like a minute to go. It was pretty clear that Chara Bullet was going to end up winning the fight. He does win 30-27. I had Marc-Andre Barriault maybe plus 3.5, but I had Chara Bullet to win by decision. It was just too clear, and it was just too easy for Chara, and Mark was just never going to go down. This guy's very tough. He did get knocked out against Dustin Soltzfus. That was just because he walked into that shot. Joe Pyfer, massive power on Pyfer's side. Chidi Njokuani knocked him out with a huge overhand. But since those, he doesn't really get knocked out. He's had a lot of wars. He's had a lot of tough fights. And he still is having a crazy career here at middleweight. What a good way to probably fight of the night. I'm not going to lie. It probably was fight of the night. He probably gets $50K for that. Come back to Gatineau, bro. I'll buy you a beer if you end up watching this somehow. Even though we get like 10 views a fucking video, if you watch this, Mark, I'll buy you a beer. I'll buy you a beer. I got you, brother. Next, we have the co-main event of the evening. If you guys did enjoy this so far, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. We had Piotr No Mercy Jan versus Marcus the Maniac McGee. And Piotr Jan very clearly was going to end up winning this fight. He did not win 30-27 like I predicted. Marcus McGee ended up covering plus 3.5. That was, I believe, the official bet, or one of the bets that I recommended to you guys on the predictions and breakdowns. I just felt as though Piotr Jan, time and time again in his career, always gives up the first round, kind of uses it as a download because of the fact that he's always been a 5-round fighter. Consistently, this guy's been on main cards. He's always had the Apex cards. He's always had these long, he's had championship bouts. He was a previous champion, fought Aljamain Sterling twice. You know what I mean? So there is a lot of prepping for Piotr Jan to go into these 5-round wars, and I don't think he's going to get rid of that type of conditioning. So you're going to see Piotr Jan give up the first round a lot, but he always comes back stronger and harder in the second and third round. And the third round is usually statistically Piotr Jan's best due to the fact that he just kind of leaves it all out there. He knows there's not a fourth and fifth, and he's willing to go to war with you no matter what. He cracked Marcus McGee quite well in that second round and hit him really bad in that third round, almost put him out and had him really fucking rocked, but didn't get it. A really good decision win for Piotr Jan. I was really, really impressed by the way that he was able to just overcome adversity in that first round. Marcus McGee was landing really, really good strikes, was landing up close. It really looked like Piotr Jan's whole, skill set was getting melted, and then Piotr Jan just comes back and completely proves me wrong, starts melting Marcus McGee away, and has him really hurt late in the fight, and wins 29-28 on unanimous decision scorecard, or on judges' unanimous decision scorecards, 29-28. I can't talk. We're just stumbling over my words. It is what it is. Piotr Jan wins. That's what I'm talking about. Marcus McGee got brought here a little bit too premature, I think. I think this is just a way to mix up the bantamweight division because Marcus McGee should not have been in this situation. He's beat JP Baez, Gaston Bolaños, and Jonathan Martinez off of a loss over Jose Aldo. And that win over Jose Aldo, bro, he was starstruck. He looked like he was lost in that fight. It looked like something happened recently because he did not look the same. He did not look like the Jonathan Martinez that leg kicked Adrian Yanez out from the fight, or Cub Swanson. It did not look like that fighter, so I'm a little bit confused. But Marcus McGee moves down to 10-2. Piotr Jan a step closer to that bantamweight title contention. Next, we had the main event of the evening. Once again, drop a like, guys. It helps me out. Drop a comment to let me know if you guys smacked any parlays this week, if any of your picks hit, because we did quite well. 8 out of 12 of my picks. If you want to check right here, I'm not lying. 8 out of 12 of my picks hit. We smacked pretty well. 7 perfect, 625 points on Tapology is not too bad. If I bet all of those by themselves, I probably would have won some crazy money. Instead, I lose parlays because I'm a fucking idiot. Don't bet parlays. That's how you lose money. Reinier De Ridder, RDR versus Robert the Reaper Whittaker. And It was pretty clear 3-2 split. I mean, I thought Reinier De Ridder won 3-2. I actually, on stream, I said Reinier De Ridder first, and then I changed my mind because I remembered the more impactful strikes from Robert Whittaker. I think it could have gone either way, realistically. I think Reinier De Ridder is the right way to go if you want to look at the division itself. Robert Whittaker's been in title contention more times than I can count. This guy's always been in the mix. He's always been in the top 10 of the middleweight division for as long as I can remember. And I don't think Whittaker's going to go anywhere. I think he's still a strong contender. I think he can still win the belt at this point in his career, 34 years of age. I think he has another 2 years to win the belt realistically before I can see a massive downfall. He's going to need to work on some takedown defense because he did ended up getting takedown once. But it wasn't even that. It was the fact that he was getting struck by the straight shots. He was getting struck with the 1-2s. He was getting struck with combination shots that really shouldn't have been able to hit him. He's got such good movement that I shouldn't have seen Robert Whittaker getting hit at all tonight against a guy that Reinier De Ridder that almost got dropped and put up by Gerald Meerschaert in their stand-up war. I would like to think that a guy like it's basically Dricus Du Plessis with no power, no athleticism. That's what Reinier De Ridder is. He's just got takedowns. That's all he's got. Please, someone in the middleweight division put this guy out because Robert should have been the guy to do it. He had him hurt. He had Reinier De Ridder rocked really fucking bad, hit him with an overhand right, almost put him out completely, almost had him on queer. Well, he did have him on queer street. He had him fucking absolutely in terrible shape. Still could not put him out. Ended up with a 48-47 split decision either way, and Robert Whittaker ends up losing a really, really close decision. Reinier De Ridder, the one double champion, moving down from heavyweight and light heavyweight to try and make a run at the UFC middleweight title, and he's on his way. He really is on his way. He's very fucking close at this point. 4 UFC fights, 3 finishes, 1 decision split, and it's against Robert Whittaker. I think you're on your way to some fantastic things. That was a fantastic way to end the night, and it was a solid fight. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. Hopefully you guys checked out the live stream. It was pretty sick. I had a couple guys in there. We were talking some shit, and we had a good time watching the fights. I will see you guys all on Tuesday for the predictions and breakdowns of Tatsuro Tara versus Amir Albazi, and I'll see you guys on Thursday for the Best Bets episode 31 regarding that card. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will talk to you guys a little later. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Peace.